I had to make the decision, do I want to continue to do this? Like, do I have what it takes, even if no one else is on board? Can I build this plane while I'm flying it?
Hey, crew, and welcome back to Trenches. I'm your host, Milan Perez. On this show, we have unfiltered conversations with entrepreneurs in the messy middle. We dig into the experiments, defining decisions, disasters, pivots, and breakthroughs that shaped their companies long before the world was watching. Before we get into it, if you like this episode, which I know you will, please take a moment and like, subscribe, and share this episode to your group chat. Hey everyone, and welcome to Trenches the podcast. Today we're sitting down with Kameron Monet, New York City-based lawyer at her firm, The Legal T, a content creator and a tech founder of Social Docket, an AI-powered platform providing the modern legal infrastructure for the creator economy. Over the past 5 years, she has advised hundreds of creators on contracts, negotiations, and brand partnerships, helping them secure higher paying deals, protect their intellectual property, and understand the business behind their creativity. Hi, Kameron. Welcome to Trenches, the podcast.
Hello, I am so excited to be here. I cannot wait to get into it.
So, Kameron and I have worked on a few projects together, but I have been following along her journey of building Social Docket on TikTok, and I cannot wait to dig in with you today. So, what trench are you in right now?
I saw this, I was like, "Ugh, which one should I choose?" I would say right now, finding some type of rhythm. I don't really use the word balance a lot, but some type of rhythm when it comes to making Social Docket my absolute number one priority now that we're in beta, but also realizing that wellness is a priority, friendships are a priority. So finding some type of rhythm with that has been interesting in a startup that is super demanding.
I can understand that. I know we'll shy away from balance today because there is no true balance, but there are priorities and they do come up, and we're going to be talking about that all today. But first, I want to dig into Social Docket, the platform. Walk me through what the Social Docket platform is and how it works for creators and managers in the space.
Yeah, so practically speaking, it is a one-stop shop for your entire deal flow as your creator business. So a lot of times when we think of a creator business, we think of what our users and our audience and our customers see. We think of the visuals, of the content, and that is so important. But when you really get into the meat and potatoes, and you're going from hobby to, oh my God, I'm starting a business, I'm making money, like where do I go? And you get that first opportunity from a brand that either you love, your dream brand, or a brand you're like starting to fall in love with, and they send you that email asking for your rates. That's the moment that we're trying to help with to reel you into Social Docket first. But we don't stop there. So it's not just the opportunities, but it's the entire process of the business. So that includes your contract. So we have a contract intelligence tool because a lot of times people want to go to lawyers, know they should go to lawyers, but lawyers are expensive. And as a lawyer myself, I get it. I understand. But too many times I see creators doing this aspect and this learning process themselves. So we're building the platform where you don't have to do that yourself. We're building the software where it can help you go through your deal process from offer to close, including the contract phase, all in one place.
My gosh, that's amazing. That's going to change the world truly. As a past talent manager and on the brand side of the creator economy, sending out and writing those agreements, the contract is always the stickiest part. And to that point, does Social Docket change at all when you're a talent manager or agency owner?
I love this question. So, right now, we're really focused on our individual creators and helping them. But a very close second are talent managers, because the whole purpose of what I'm building Social Docket is to help each other, help all of us as creators advocate for ourselves. Because
Mhm.
at the end of the day, you're going to need professional services, and it's not a knock to professional services. But a lot of time in the beginning, you want to learn how to do it yourself. You want to at least understand what you're signing, why you're signing it, and how you can negotiate something out, right? So when it comes to managers, they're the next best person to advocate for us creators. So we're definitely looking out for managers. And it looks a little bit different because you have the ability to have like a multi-seat function where you can add other managers within your wheelhouse if you're the agency owner and things of that nature. So we're playing around with some of the user experience of it all. So stay tuned.
Stay tuned. I'm so excited for this. And in this whole building process, what has been the number one question you've gotten as a legal tech founder?
Ooh, the number one is probably like, "Is this my lawyer? Like, is this an AI lawyer?" And it's like, "Girl, slow down. We're not building an AI lawyer. We're not building an AI law firm." The best example that I found with my research that I'm trying to figure out, like a comparison that's already doing extremely well in a different industry, is like a TurboTax. Like, if
Mm,
we've used TurboTax, we understand TurboTax is not our tax professional, right? Like, of course, I'm not going to IRS and be like, well, TurboTax is my tax professional. But it's a software, it's a tool that's amazing with allowing us to see what are the steps to take me through to file my taxes. So think of Social Docket as what are the steps that take me through my deal flow, my deal process, the contract phase, so that I understand what I'm signing and I can accurately represent myself when I need to.
ooh, I love that. It's a great place to catch people as well because once you are in that deal flow, the brand is exciting, the outreach is exciting, getting that even sending your rates and getting something back is exciting. But you are so right. When you get that contract in your inbox, then you're like, this is real. I have to actually deliver something. And that is when the business of all of it happens. And that's
Mhm.
when quite literally the real work begins.
Exactly. Exactly.
And I know you've also been a creator all along the way for the past 10 years, which is crazy, and kudos to you.
Thank you.
You once said, "I'm a lawyer by degree, a creator by passion, and a tech founder by purpose." Tell me the story behind deciding to become a lawyer and then what led you to becoming a content creator in 2014.
Yeah. So 2014 was like this era of YouTube where you had the college vloggers, you had the beauty and the hair, and I was watching so much of it. And I'm like, okay, maybe I should start to create. And I would change my hair a lot in college. So I had so many friends that were like, oh, you should just like create a video so we all could just see it. And I'm like, okay, I could do that. So I'm just in my dorm creating organically, not even thinking this would be this $250 billion industry that it is today, which is insane. I wasn't making money. I was just posting content. And I always say it was so far back in the day that you could just press a button to turn on monetization. I had no idea the button was there. I was watching another YouTube video and some YouTuber was like, yeah, just turn on the button. I'm like, girl, let me find out I can make some money. And I was like making enough to like get groceries and things like that in college. And then I went to law school in 2016. So law actually came after me being a creator. And even further back before I became a YouTuber, I was a theater kid. So it was kind of like always
Mm.
this interest in the creativity of it all, whether it's in front of the camera, behind the camera, the production of it all. I always was drawn to like creativity. So YouTube gave me that. And then law school gave me a structure that I didn't know that I wanted because I was so anti school. I didn't want to be a lawyer, but my advisor at the time, he was a lawyer and he was like, I think you'd be great. Like, try mock trial. You have like, you're smarter than you think. You can do this. And it just kind of worked out. Once I got into law school, my content, of course, changed, right? Like, I wasn't doing the beauty content because I was like, girl, my hair is in a bun. I'm studying for these exams. Y'all gonna get this vlog, you know? So I was sharing the law school content and realizing, wait, this is also like a gap in the market where there wasn't a lot of Black women sharing their experience in law school in 2016 when I was sharing it, like literally camera in front of me in the class, just showing organically what was happening, crying after an exam, just like the raw real of the experience. And I realized, wait a minute, there's this intersection between like law and content happening because I started getting contracts and I started helping my friends with their contracts. And then when I graduated, I practiced employment litigation, but then I had somebody that wasn't a friend ask me how much I charge for contracts. And I was like, oh my goodness, creators will pay for contract clarity? What? So I started my consulting firm, The Legal Tea, in 2020, and I've been doing that ever since. So then Social Docket came up when we were trying to figure out how to scale.
So you started one business. Kudos to you. So we have a two-time founder here on the podcast today. And then you started through your own discovery, through your own customers, you found this niche in the market, which I think is really, really cool. And you've been so open on social about being a non-technical founder.
Yeah, girl, it
We're
totally
gonna
changed the game.
dig so we're gonna dig into that. So as a non-technical founder, take me back to the beginning of Social Docket. What did your MVP look like and how did you create it?
Oh my goodness. I feel like we've been through so many iterations of Social Docket. And sometimes I wish I'm like, if I could just have a camera following me the past year, I wish I had all the like raw documented and I try to document as much as possible on YouTube and social media. The idea actually came up around October 2024. So I was thinking of like, okay, the TikTok ban conversation was kind of going on, and I was really focused on legal education. I wasn't even thinking about the fact that I'm hitting a point where I can't review all these contracts. That was kind of happening, but I didn't think that was something I can create a software on yet. So I was like, okay, what if I create a one-stop shop for everyone to get updated, real, actual, accurate information about privacy policies, the FTC, paid partnerships versus gifted partnerships, all this information that we were just searching all over the internet to find, and people were coming to me and tagging me in certain posts like, what's your opinion? What's your opinion? What if I can just send them to an app, right? So that was the thought. And then I had a client, we met for like brunch. She was been a long-term client. I reviewed all of her contracts. She's amazing. And she is at the intersection of content and tech, and she creates AR filters where you can try on your makeup on like social media. And she was like, oh, let me connect you with this company. They really do a different industry, but they might want to be interested in working with you to help you build your app. And that's how the first app came to be. We launched the first app in April of 2025. From 2024, we had the idea. And then April 2025, we launched the first version. But during that process, it made me start to think like a tech founder. Because at that point, I never even considered even having a tech idea, like an app. I was like, I'm not a tech founder. I'm just like building an app, which I do think two things can exist. But then I was like, wait a minute, I'm like really into this. Like, I want to know more about like engineering and like software development and like how people really build a startup. So once we launched that, the app transparently, it was fine, but the back end was not built for what we were trying to do. So my amazing operation manager at the time, she was complaining so much to her fiance to the point where he was like, let me talk to her. I'm a software engineer. Let's all get on a call. We all get on a call. It went well. The second call, he was like, I would love to join the team and help you rebuild this app. So June 2025, we were starting to rebuild it. August 2025, now that I got into the tech world, I realized I should do something with AI. October 2025, we officially incorporated, and then we started to build the MVP. So the MVP was literally just contract intelligence. That was it. Now we've added our deal advisor, a layer, our contract intelligence, where they talk together so you can track your deal from offer all the way to close versus just from contract to sign.
Ooh, so you have had a developer along the way, which I know we're going to dig into, and you found your technical co-founder. However, you've also transparently said that you all recently parted ways. We love talking about the co-founder journey here, whether it's husbands, friends you meet organically. Walk me through how you did find this person, if it was that same person, and ultimately what led you guys to gracefully part ways.
Yeah, so I think, and I love that you asked this question because I need to provide clarity. I never had a co-founder. I've never had a
Mm.
co-founder. I have been a solo founder from the very beginning, and I'm still currently a solo founder. And at this stage, because of the growth we had, I don't intend on having a co-founder. That could change. Don't hold me to it, but 9.9 times out of 10, I won't be doing that. Just because we're kind of out of the phase where that would have been applicable, in my opinion. But God will challenge me, so you never know. So when we first started working together with my first engineer, our developer, he was just a founding engineer. And that was kind of just the title I was giving him. My goal was to have a discussion about being co-founder or CTO or something of that level. But the thing about a startup is once that October conversation came up, so we went through all the phases, we started integrating AI and officially incorporated, the conversation shifted from how are we going to build $100 million company? Like, I want to be venture backed. I want to take this to the moon. I want to build this rocket ship, all the terms that tech people use, right? Once I made that decision, the shift in the skill set and the conviction of the team and the people that I needed to hire changed. And
Oh.
everybody felt it. And I think it added a different level of responsibility that I was looking for in my team, and everyone can't meet that. And it's not even a good or a bad thing, it just a is thing where if I'm telling you I need this, I want you to be in a leadership role, and that's something that doesn't fit into your life plan and your goals, we're out of alignment. And that's ultimately what happened with my founding engineer. When I was like, okay, we're getting to the point where I would love to talk about being, maybe a co-founder or make you CTO. Would you like a leadership role? And when those conversations were happening and I realized we weren't in alignment, that's when I'm like, okay. I knew sooner than when he left, things were like a little out of alignment, but I'm a new founder and I could do a whole lessons video. But I think it was amazing still to have him because I learned so much. I was able to be in a place of comfort and safety, making the mistakes and asking the silly questions with two team members because they both ended up leading two team members that I trusted, that I still respect now, and they allowed me the grace to get to where we built today. So I'm forever grateful for our original team, but we weren't in alignment when I made the decision, like, no, I want to take this to the moon. I'm going to require a different level of people. I'm like, our marketing team, they're still here. They're like with it, locked in. Our law school intern, she graduates in May. She's locked in with us. Can't wait to give her an official role in the company. So there was a shift that happened, but also clarity in other team members that I think was just amazing and so valuable. And fast forwarding until February when we split, And we did have like such probably the most beautiful breakup you can experience. And it was me, a document he left me, and a little bit of an MVP, and I had to make the decision, what are you gonna do? You're a
Mhm.
solo founder, you believe in this vision, if you're so passionate about it. I've said no to job offers because of this venture, so many things that happened over the course of a year, but really even just focusing on October when we were officially incorporated, I had to make the decision, do I wanna continue to do this? Like, do I have what it takes, even if no one else is on board? Can I build this plane while I'm flying it? That's like the thing that a lot of tech founders, ask themselves. So I locked myself up and I rebuilt the platform. So now I like to say I'm semi-technical, which is amazing because then now we recently onboarded a software engineer for a 3-week trial. So that's exciting.
Oh my gosh. I mean, so much growth.
Yeah.
So much growth in such a little time. I have
Yeah.
so many questions about this growth journey.
Thank you.
But for the first one, as the leading team has changed and shifted, what has changed because of that in
Mhm.
roles and responsibilities for yourself as a solo founder? You kind of said, "Hey, I've had to take on learning code," and I definitely want to talk about that for any for any members out there listening who may be vibe coding their way
Mhm.
through tech. What were those key roles and responsibilities that ended up changing with that team change as well?
Yeah, so 2 core things changed were so my operations manager left and my founding engineer. So to me, those are like 2 major aspects into the company. The benefit is they left me in a great position. It was super organized. During the transition phase, I was able to ask questions. They gave me clarity. I also was always kind of in everything besides the tech. That was the one thing I was kind of away from, and then I had to just jump dive into it. So it made me rethink how I want to build the company, shape the company culture, the organizational chart. It made me really think about and be more intentional about the positions I was hiring for. So it's like, okay, operation manager was perfect because she was with me in my consulting firm and other business ventures. But really for this new business venture, I actually need a product manager that would actually be a better role for what we're building as far as the organization and the SOPs and things of that nature now that we're building in software. So it gave me time to sit back and be like, okay, let's reevaluate instead of like flowing through the next business what we were doing, which isn't a bad thing. And I think being naive gave me a little bit of an advantage over this time because I was just like diving into things without knowing and like, hi, hey, investor, hey, like just like putting myself out there without overthinking it. But this made me sit down and have a little bit more clarity on where we're going with things, why we're going, how much we need to raise, if we're raising, all the different questions like that. I got to sit down and just face it head on without just flowing through the company into a new company.
Yeah, for sure. And you've even taken on the roles of coding a little bit, or at least
Yeah,
learning how to. Would you call what you're doing vibe coding?
for sure. Yeah, definitely vibe coding. I talked to like my software engineer friends and then our current software engineer. To me, to my knowledge, non-technical, not engineer, vibe coding versus like more traditional coding is I'm using AI to give me the code I need to filter through my Claude Code terminal. I'm not going in like any type of coding software and typing out the code word for word. That to me is more what I'm noticing is more of a traditional code.
Mm.
Vibe coding, even engineers are using them because it's quicker, where I can go into like I use Claude and we use Anthropic. Our AI is built on top of Anthropic, our vertical AI tool. Go in Claude and say, this is what I need to happen on my website in as much detail. Give me the code I need to put into Claude. So I can put it in plain language and Claude filters out and types in the exact like HTML, like, like the actual code. I don't have to write that. But I
Mhm.
do think my unique advantage because I had a developer along the way is he gave me this beautiful document that just laid out, they call it like a PMDR, PRDM, I can't remember, but he gave me this beautiful document that explained all of the softwares, how they talk to each other, what are the tools I may need, and things like that. So when I went into it, I knew these are our front end tools, these are our back end tools, these are how they talk together. This is the tool that we use for our email sequence and things of that nature. So I came in understanding the platforms, which I think a lot of people that are vibe coding, which everybody doesn't have to do that, right? But if you're trying to build something for longevity, there's a lot of benefit on understanding what is GitHub and the importance of like GitHub being the number one source. That's the girl. Okay. You need to be locked in with her. Or where do you deploy your software? Vercel or Supabase versus AWS and why you need to move to different levels of that and the importance of like understand how much you charge and OpenAI versus Anthropic and why you build on certain ones and certain verticals. So I think I got a little bit of an advantage because he gave me like a little bit of insight into it. But honestly,
Yeah.
you learn as you go.
I can totally see that, and I'm so glad that you were transparent about Claude Code. As everyone is leaning into the world of AI,
Yeah.
you're building with Claude Code.
Mhm.
But what else is needed in the AI space to build Social Docket?
Yeah. So for us, another question I get all the time, actually, aside from the lawyer thing we mentioned earlier, is what is the difference between what you're building and like a ChatGPT or like Claude? The difference is ChatGPT and Claude, debatable on the Claude because they coming out with unique things, but they are more of a general, what you call a horizontal AI tool. So what that means is it's searching the entire internet in general and filtering out an answer. We're building a vertical AI tool. Most people build on top of LLMs, which is like like the Anthropic and the OpenAI. So we're building on top of an LLM. We're not starting our own, but we're creating a vertical tool, meaning we're getting so specialized. We're telling our AI, you are a 10-year attorney that focuses on this industry, and that is all that it's thinking about. It's not thinking about being a real estate attorney because that's not the
Mhm.
response that our tool is really geared towards. So we're training it, and it's learning the more data we have, the more users we have, the more contracts we have. And luckily for me, I've been working with creators, hundreds of creators for the past 5 years exclusively. So I have a lot of documentation and data that I'm feeding it so that it can come out with the best accurate results without, because I know we've all been it where you're talking to ChatGPT and you tell it something, she's like, oh, you're a lawyer. And I'm like, girl, I told you that last week. Please, please. So the benefit with a vertical AI tool is like you're not having to constantly remind it. It's referring to who you are and it remembers these things. So that has been probably the biggest difference from what we're building, but also understanding safety. I think that's probably the number one thing that people are not doing when you're vibe coding these things. I think everyone should try vibe coding. Do not get left behind. There's a lot of benefits. You can automate so many things, and I think we all should be doing that. But to sell a product, data privacy, you need to understand safety. You need to have a good terms of use. And of course, the lawyer in me got to say all this. You also need to make sure you have a privacy policy, things like that, because that is the difference between I'm just vibe coding and like just building this organic thing for myself and it's personal, then I'm building a software that I'm trying to scale.
And that was gonna be literally my next question is how do you train a custom AI model? You have buckets of contracts sitting in your inbox or printed at home. So what was that process like of training your model and putting those parameters around who it is, what it's looking for, and how did you actually train it?
It's actually a lot at this stage, a lot simpler. Now, future goals, your future plans, it may get more complex. Also, I'll add that. But at this stage, it's really in the prompting. And I think that just is a good example of how anyone can use AI. When you're going on ChatGPT, all of these AI tools are only as good as the prompter. When you go on Claude, it's only as good as how you're prompting it. And that's why, yes, AI can take over, blah, blah, blah. Also, not. It's a yes and a no. It's twofold because if you don't know what to ask it, you can't prompt it correctly, you're not going to get the right results. You can use it, but you won't know what to ask if you're not a specialized in a certain area. So you're always going to need some type of guide. So we just have really really detailed prompts. Also, again, our users are the best case, which is why beta is so important for us and getting really connected with our founding members. It's like the more they use it, the more we can see on the back end and be like, okay, actually our response should be more like this based on their behavior, based on the questions they're asking, based on the way they use the deal flow and why do they need an automation? Does it automatically know to link the deal in the contract that we just added and things like that? So it's really in the prompting and it's a for everything. We got it to a certain point and then it's like, okay, let's see how the user behavior, let's see how it responds. Oh, we need to tweak it. More concise, more plain language, simpler, not so complex, and things of that nature.
That is a good point. I love using AI. I just made the switch, like many people did, from ChatGPT only to a Claude to a mixture. So
Uh-huh.
I am using it a ton, and I'm also using it a lot in my MBA program. My MBA program has taken a amazing step to build out. I think we have 8 different custom trained AI
Ooh.
people. And for different parts of our assignments and different parts of our homework, they literally tell us, hey, go talk to this AI that we built out. It knows our process, it knows what we're looking for, and we're doing our homework assignments with it, which is amazing and a
Love
very
it.
interesting use case. But
Yeah.
I too was wondering, okay, how did they train this thing? Theirs is using ChatGPT, but it's been so interesting to me one, learning how to prompt, and I'm
Yes.
a pretty good prompter nowadays. And two, just how would you even train something custom? Because, like yourself, as I build out businesses, as I work on this podcast, how can I eventually make an AI model for
Yeah.
myself so that I don't have to constantly be telling it what I'm doing and what I'm working on?
Exactly. And it's really in the prompts. And I think, like you're saying, you've gotten better. It's because of practice.
Yeah.
And I think so often when we think of AI, and mass majority of people, and it's no fault of themselves, they think of it like a shortcut. But when you really use AI and you're prompting correctly and you're getting things that are more specialized and vertical, it's actually requiring you to be more detailed.
Yeah.
I've been saying lately, I was just talking to my mom about this, and I was like, I feel like I'm becoming a better leader and a better guide in my who I'm hiring based on the fact that I've been using AI. Because when I prompt something and I need something of more detail, it requires me to go into more detail. Like, actually, let's make some more clarity on paragraph 3. Let's redact this on paragraph 3. Make sure it's making me be more detailed. So now when I have like an assignment, I'm finding myself to be more detailed and provide more clarity because I have to do that with my AI tools.
Oh, yeah. I always tell my mentors in my program, "Oh, me and so ChatGPT, we go to war. Like, I'm not letting it just tell me I'm correct, and I'm
Yeah.
not gonna let it just tell me what it wants to. It's
Yeah.
every single word I am dissecting. I'm saying, 'Nope, we're working on that.' So I go to war.
Same.
ChatGPT is at its limit with within at least 20 seconds of talking to me because I'm like, "Nope, we're fighting. We're in a fighting match there." So it's so cool to know that we are both using AI in similar ways in that
Mhm.
aspect. And also, as you've been working in AI, building out this product, you've mentioned a lot of terms. And as a semi-technical founder, what would you say are biggest terms for another founder out there wanting to build in the AI space? What would be those best terms for them to know? I know you've said Superbase, SQL editor,
Oh,
happy
girl.
path. There's so many terms. What are those
Yeah, I
major terms that founders need to know?
think it definitely depends on what you're building, like what you need to know, how much depth you need to know about it. With AI, I think I love YouTube University. Listen, it's great. Also, asking Claude to explain what it is has really been great. Like, explain to me who you are and what you do. That really helps. So, like, understanding what an LLM, like a large language model, like, what is that?
Mhm.
Like, that's like the basic. And then, what is AI? I think we just use the term fluidly. It's kind of like we use Next, but it's actually like a brand, or like tissue. It's like things like that. We just been using AI, but it's like, what exactly is AI? What is AI powered versus AI native? All of these on a core definitional terms, I think we should look up. And then it's like, okay, I'm building AI. What are the softwares and the players and the platforms involved? So, like Superbase, that's kind of where you house your AI and you can track your usage and things of that nature. Or you have like Vercel, that's where you deploy your product and you can see the different versions of things that are getting deployed, the features that are getting deployed. Deployment, what does that mean? Is it going live to its actual main website, or is it getting into the interim? So when we first launch something, a feature, we try it on our local, meaning your computer, and then it goes to our dev so we can actually use it functioning. And then the last one is when it goes to our users. So there's different levels of security that happens across the board as well. So just getting really, really curious. I think the best thing that has come out of this experience so far has been education, being really reminded that I'm a student forever. And I think naturally, like we all know that, but when you start a new business venture that you find this purpose and this passion, I'm like, oh, it's really just because we all are lifelong learners. Like I want to learn more and be so just overly inquisitive and ask questions. I ask any software engineer that come across, they tired of me. They're like, and what does this mean? And what does this do? And who is this? And who all over there? I think just really being curious is really good. But yeah, really understanding just the formation of like what is AI, what is LLM, like what do these things mean? How to build, what are the players in building? Do I need to have all these softwares and tools or can I just start with just the basics? Then the next layer is okay, now that I know this, is there anything outside of the actual tech tools that I need to keep my business going? For me, I was like, definitely need law school interns because they're at this beautiful intersection right now. Kind of how you mentioned in your class where as an MBA student, when I was in school, we weren't doing any AI, right? But now there's law students that are having this conversation in their law schools. They're the perfect person to help me when it comes to compliance, AI, law, and a lot of them are creating content as well. So it's really threefold when you're trying to build.
I love that. And I love that you're using interns. Shout out to all the students out there. And in this process of being a lifelong learner, as a young female tech founder, what misconceptions have you frequently run into?
Oh, this is a good one. I would say before I say what they are, I will say at first it really was internal. It was me feeling like because I didn't have a technical background or I didn't go to like a top school or I didn't XYZ insert that when I was in these rooms that no one would listen or I wasn't the right fit for what we're building. But then when you dissect it, all of that really doesn't matter. The question is, are you the founder to build XYZ? And it was like, I don't have to question that. So everything else is figure outable. So that was like the first layer. But I would say the more education I've gotten in the industry, the better. Cause I think that was
Mhm.
some of it where someone would make a comment in like an event or a room and I just was so clueless to the point where it was like, I'm at a disadvantage, like whether I'm acting like it or not. So being more prepared for these opportunities, for the rooms, and then also being comfortable in not knowing and just asking a question, say, I actually don't know what that means. Cause there's nothing worse when someone's like, so yeah, you know what GitHub is. And it's like, yeah, yep, sure. So finding the balance of, right. Yeah, sure. I talked to her yesterday. It's like, girl, you don't know who I'm talking about. So being comfortable in being a beginner, still remaining confident in the things that you do offer, the things that you do have, and understanding that everyone's not going to get it. I can be in any room. I can go to different opportunities. I can shake all the hands. There's still going to be people that don't get it. Every successful company has had that. Uber, Airbnb, Facebook, Meta, you name it. They've all had naysayers. And then now look where they are. So especially in the beginning, I think the most important thing as a new founder and at our early stage is to remain focused on the end goal, to know that the why is so strong, the how can be flexible. We look at things like Amazon, they started with just books. Imagine if Amazon only sold books. I would have nothing in my apartment. So thankfully, they didn't let that hold them back. But staying focused on what you're doing, having conviction and trusting your intuition, because at the end of the day, you wouldn't start building what you're building if you didn't know that it was needed.
Mhm.
Most of the time, it's not that things fail or people aren't successful because of what they built or the idea was bad. It's they gave up or they lost their way or they got distracted or they took in too many opinions that completely changed the direction. So really remaining focused on your end goal is so important.
I love that. That's so many gems. So many gems, you guys. Rewind and listen to that part about 3 million times. And we're going to dig into your founder mentality because I feel like you have one of the strongest mentalities out there. But before we dig into that, I want to dig into your time as a creator and finding the gaps. So I
Mm.
want to ask you, we're sitting here in 2026. What do you think is the future of the creator economy?
My goodness, so much. Think one as the industry begins to mature because it's still very, very new. I literally just had a user onboarding call before this, and she's a lawyer and a creator. And she was like, I can't believe the amount of companies that still don't have influencer agreements that have asked her, can they send them an agreement? And we're not talking about like smaller business or and them too, but we're talking about established companies that are still just now getting into the influencer marketing arena and don't have agreements, right? So as the industry begins to mature, I think we're going to see more tools, softwares, and resources to help the industry mature, whether it's college classes, law school classes, business classes that are focused on the creator economy and influencer marketing. And the longer we go, the more stats and information we have. It's still really, really hard to find certain statistics about the industry. As I'm building and I'm talking to investors and things of that nature, that's something they ask, and it's like, unfortunately, we don't have that number, but I can't wait to have that number as we begin to get data ourselves and be able to push out those type of reports on contracts, on manager versus non-unmanaged and things of that nature. All of these stats are still really hard to find. So I think that's going to be where we see a lot more analytics, a lot more stats and data to help us continue to elevate this business. But even Goldman Sachs said this is going to be a $480 billion industry in 2028. That's crazy.
Wow.
So that shows that they're seeing it. We're in a $250 billion industry now, creator economy as a whole. 480 billion. That's wild. So they see it, but we do not have an infrastructure. We don't really have a strong progression of what's going on. I think forever when we thought about going to school, right? You go to college, you get the job, you go get the career. That's it. But now the influencer marketing and creator economy has shifted things. Where one of our arguments in Social Docket is there's a digital workforce that is happening, and there's not a core game plan of how to get there. There's not like a go to high school, go to college, get a certificate. There's nothing, not a step process in order to scale a creator business. We're seeing people do it and we're finally getting stats. So like the Alex Earls, et cetera, where we're seeing them do this play, but there isn't really a guide, a class, a course that has enough data and stats to do it. Are there courses and guides? Yes, but there's not enough data yet. So I can't wait to see where we actually see the results of this beautiful experience. That's the first thing. The second thing is going to be a lot more creators getting equity in companies. Because what's happening again as it matures, now creators are sitting on hundreds of thousands of millions of dollars. So you're sitting, you're looking at your money, you're doing more traditional investing, but then you start to get a little bit more risk tolerant. So then you're like, okay, let me take equity in this new, maybe my fellow creators company, and I want to support a founder. I think we're going to see a lot more content creators do that and kind of shift this. I haven't even said this before. Shift this need for venture capital because creators have the distribution that founders actually want, and they also have the money.
Amen. I love that you brought up the equity conversation. I've worked with a few founders now who are using that as their pre-seed strategy, both for
Hmm.
fundraising, early marketing, just overall in the creator space. They say, "Hey, I'm pre-seed. I don't have enough money to be doing traditional influencer brand deals. However, I do recognize the need for distribution, for marketing, for even getting in touch with their target customer or their target market without even being able to sell something quite yet." So they
Yep.
are tapping creators super early in the founder journey, in the
Yeah.
product journey, for creators to have that opportunity to have equity. And I hope that more and more creators see themselves as entrepreneurs and founders and know that they can take these next steps in their career. It doesn't always have to be buying a bigger house or buying a second house. Like, you can build real
Yep.
wealth with the money that you're getting from your brand deals just by allocating it in a different way.
Exactly. And I think part of the first aspect I talk about with like the education layer of maturing in the industry is exposing them to that. I think a lot of us, even myself included, I wasn't necessarily thinking or having the conversations around equity and founders and startup until I became a startup founder. And I'm like, oh my goodness, how many other people just aren't aware because they aren't in it, but they would be willing to support through monetary or through their platforms or through partnerships because it's just not a topic that felt attainable to creators. But now that we all have been more open about people making money, that wasn't always it. Like when I started out, no one was talking about making money, but we were making money. Like I was making money in 2016, but nobody was really talking about it yet. Then we started to have those conversations. And I always say like 2020 was a wild experience, a terrible experience, but also some positive because it gave the everyday person the ability to get exposure. Where we
Hmm.
all were on TikTok and just random people, moms, dads, kids, other creators where maybe they didn't get their footing in other platforms. TikTok allowed them a platform to blow up. And then when you blow up, you get all these opportunities. You're like, wait a minute, distribution is queen. Now that I have this platform, I'm getting to be on red carpets. I'm getting to get free opportunities. I'm getting to get these things. Even if I don't want to be a content creator or an influencer, I now get different levels of opportunities because I have a platform. So I think 2020 allowed so many people that was probably like anti-influencer, anti-creator to say, wait a minute, it's not just the Kim K's of the world, which shout out to the Kardashians, right? Like it's not just them. It's not just, oh hi, I love this lipstick. It's so much more than that. It's layered, it's opportunity, it's financial wealth. It's so much more than just creating a post online.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know you've been busy as a founder and a creator, and you've been using your platform for so much good. And you have also taken on so many speaking opportunities, which I'm sure are helping you get into those rooms, get into those equity conversations, talk to other founders about how they're fundraising. I briefly want to touch on, are you still actively fundraising, and what has that experience been like as a underrepresented female founder?
Yeah, so let me start by saying we were just talking about the benefits of having a platform. One mistake that I did when we were fundraising, we're not currently fundraising at the time of recording this, was not leveraging that. I felt like, yeah, here's this thing, and I included it in our pitch deck. But when I started to talk to other investors, and then I had my mentor, and he was like, why isn't this a second slide? You need to put the fact that you have this distribution channel. And I say that because I want influencers and creators and people that are building platforms, it doesn't have to be tens of thousands in this game. 5,000, 1,000 really curated audience is going to be so valuable when you're starting to fundraise, especially as a woman, especially as a Black woman. That allows me to have a different level of conversation. I probably got calls and in rooms just because of that. I might not even got in that room just because they're like, this is a good idea, but like, who are you? You didn't go to XYZ or you don't have this intro. Because in the beginning when I was fundraising, I wasn't doing the warm intro thing. Again, do as I don't do as I say, not as I do. Now this go around, we're gonna have a different experience. But I learned a lot. Also, I think getting out the nerves of it all is so important. just start having conversations before you fundraise. That's like the number one advice I would give anyone, especially underserved founders. Start having conversations before you really need funding, because that's what we've been doing since we've stopped fundraising, is just having conversations, and it just takes this weight off. And it reminds you that at the end of the day, without founders, investors wouldn't be, because there'd be nothing to invest in. So it needs to be a two-way street. It can't just be, I'm trying to sell my life and sell my soul for you to put the money in my account, right? It needs to be that have such an amazing opportunity. You would be privileged to invest in our company to take this rocket ship to the moon. Otherwise, we go on either way. And that's kind of the energy that I had to learn after having conversations and realizing, wait a minute, I'm putting someone in the driver's seat of my car. No, I'm in the driver's seat. You can get in the car. We got lots of room. Come on, join the team. But also understanding with fundraising is money is important. And I will never sit here and say capital ain't important, money is important, especially building an AI speed, and speed requires capital, right? However, all money ain't good money, period. If all an investor can give you is money, that's really not enough a lot of times. I think sometimes it's fine. And certain investors, you just want them on your cap table, and that can do a lot for you. But finding alignments in your investors is important, because that's also somebody you marry. Just like we talk about co-founder and co-founder breakups, and thankfully, like, I don't have that experience. Ooh, thank you, Jesus. But the next person you marry is your investors. I would say that. I'd say co-founders is more important than that. But your investors, you're also marrying them. Whenever you're thinking about a venture, like I'm in this for at least 10 years. Hopefully, it's less than that. Maybe it's more than that. Who knows? But like that's what I'm committed to the bit. So whoever is with me is committed with me as well. Even now, we have investors that we keep those intros still warm by sending them monthly updates or checking in and having those conversations and keeping them in our socials and things of that nature. If it was people that I didn't want to talk to, imagine how draining and frustrating that would be, because they're going to give you feedback, which is great. You got to learn what to take and what to leave, but you really want to make sure you're being intentional in your fundraising journey and leaning on other founders that have exited, that have been acquired, that have experience. Even if they ended up having to dissolve their company, you can learn so much from any founder that have been through this. So again, being a student, being a sponge, and not being afraid to ask, because they've been through it and they can tell you a whole different game plan, because fundraising is a game. As much as I didn't want to play and I didn't understand, now that I'm in this founder group with an amazing founder coach, I guess I could call her Erica Harrison, and she built her company, got acquired by Google, was a YC founder, and she's been a wealth of knowledge. And there really is a game. There's a game to it. You got to learn to play it. It may take some of us longer than others, unfortunately, but getting those warm intros changes the whole conversation.
That's so good. And I want to know, what was the biggest unspoken rule of the game
Mm.
that you learned?
Fundraising is a never ending cycle unless you stop it.
Hmm.
Founders can be fundraising every day, 365 days, all the time. You have to set the tone of what your fundraising journey is going to look like. And that's like the best advice I've learned from Erica is you tell the investors. Right now we're not fundraising. So if I meet someone, they're like, hey, I'm currently not taking on investment conversations. We're focused on product development and user growth. More than happy to discuss it once we open that door. And I'll send you the dates when we have that time block available. So you want to block off a certain time where you're investing. So one, put the pressure on yourself to lock in and take those calls and secure that round immediately. But also so you're not on these calls, because what I did the first go around when I really was fundraising, but I didn't really understand what that meant, is I was just taking all the calls. And then what I realized is it pushed our product development back like months really, because I was so in every call, doing the pitch deck, having the conversation. You're on hundreds of calls, in person, virtual, where like it takes up so much of your mental capacity that by the time it was like, oh, making product decisions or talking to users, I was split. I didn't have time. I couldn't make the decisions. So when you're fundraising, it is another full-time job. So you have to shift. It's either you're like, oh, I'm a founder, or you're like a founder fundraising. Like it's two different people. So being really intentional and being honest, and investors, they know that. So being honest, hey, like that's not what we're focused on, but more than happy to keep you in the loop. And when we are, I will send those dates to you so you can book and schedule that specific timeline on that specific calendar for investment calls. So I'll have more, hopefully in the next few months on how that experience has been.
Next, I want to dive into your mentality. We talked about it a little bit at the beginning of the podcast. I was watching your TikToks and you said, I've always been pretty gritty. And I've always been scrappy. I've always been a hustler. I just needed something to hustle on. What's your routine for keeping yourself motivated while building Social Docket?
I'm like, did I say that? No.
You did. You did.
That's good. That's good. Oh, let me find out. No, I think what helps is I truly love what I do. Like, I have had the privilege to work in two industries that I love, law and the creator economy. Being a legal consultant and a contract specialist for hundreds of amazing creators, being able to also work with amazing brands that I personally love to share with my audience really just helps with everything that I'm currently working on because I get to see it come to fruition in a different way. So that's the first thing that really helps me is that I enjoy what I do. And I think with anything that you're doing, especially as a startup and as a founder, you have to love what you do. You have to really have a different level of passion, purpose, alignment in what you're building because if you don't, you're going to give up at the first inconvenience, at the first level of difficulty and requiring you to have this grit that you need. I also think a lot of our life journey leads us to where we end up and we don't realize it. Like so much of the things in our childhood or throughout school or a conversation you have or something you learned or like a passion project all lead to the moment where you really are tested in your grittiness or tested in your resilience. And I feel like the more that I am in this journey and I'm hitting some of these barriers and then I get to jump over them, like, not I made the obstacle, I'm realizing I was kind of built for it. So I do think entrepreneurship is truly a calling. Like it really is a calling. Keep that job. I'm not one to say quit them jobs, but if you truly feel alignment with what you're doing, you'll know. You'll know because you will do whatever it takes. You will go after whatever it takes. You will do the cold calls. You will feel the embarrassment and still show up anyway. You will constantly go after the thing. And then for me with Social Docket, it's I can't unsee or unhear the moments when I had a creator client tell me she was walking down the streets of New York and she saw her face on a billboard. And the moment she was excited, it stopped because she realized in the same setting, she couldn't pay her rent. Yet her face was all over these billboards in New York. And
Oh.
when she reached out to me after she had already signed the contract, it was like after the fact, all it took was her to understand the terms and know that she shouldn't sign perpetuity. And things
Mm.
like that where I just can't unsee. And it's like, there's no way I can go through my life without trying to fix this thing. And that's what keeps me going. So it's such a selfless job, honestly, being a startup founder. I'd say most of us, it's such a selfless thing. Yes, we want to make the money. I'm not going to sit here and say I'm not trying to make no money. Okay, let's be for real. I'm trying to make some money, but like the desire to make money isn't even strong enough to hold out in this journey. You have to have something more, and it's conversations like that. It's a moment when I have creators say, because the one conversation I had with you, I was able to double the amount of money the brand gave me. Because the conversation with you, I just saw this on TikTok and I was sending a congratulations to a previous client who only booked a strategy call and she was getting into the content creation and she received her first two PR packages because of the conversation we had. So things like that, that is why I'm building Social Docket. That is what keeps me going. That is why I can show up when I'm tired. I can show up when I don't feel like it. And I'm gritty and resilient because it's so much bigger than what I'm trying to get.
I love that. That is so inspirational for all the crew members out there. And I know that we have a lot of crew members who are deep in the trenches right now. So, zooming out,
Mhm.
looking big picture, I know you said you want Social Docket to go all the way to the moon, and we are all cheering for that.
Yeah.
What is beyond the trenches for you? What is the ambitious finish line that you're running towards?
Yeah, I think every founder has a series of ideas, whether it's like, oh, you want to be acquired by a certain company or you want to have a certain number exit or maybe you want to IPO, whatever. But outside of Social Docket's end goal, my goal would be to build a foundation off of my grandmother's name, Minnie Martin. She was one of the first Black women to build a trucking company in the 1970s when women barely had rights. And people don't know a lot about her. And I'm always like in this interesting position. And now I'm talking a little bit more about it as I'm going through my own founder journey. Because one, she made a lot of mistakes when it came to like her will. She passed away too when I was young. And I think she was trying to navigate an industry that didn't want a trucking industry that didn't want her to be there. She was a Black woman, but she still ended up having a multi-million dollar company out of all this and left her family with nothing only because she didn't know what she was doing. So I would love to build a foundation based off of women being able to have resources, access, maybe even funding where they can build what my grandmother built and more, but also build it in a way that they leave generational wealth for their family. Because
Mm,
that's the one thing that I think she truly desired and tried her best, that she just didn't have the access, the resources, the education to even know where to start with that. And that's also why I was so anti-entrepreneurship as a kid, because it was like my grandmother was so stressed and she had heart problems, and that's why, XYZ happened. But looking at it from a different lens now, it was the beauty in her grit, her grind, her resilience, and believing in herself and giving something to her family. And there was amazing experiences that we ended up having. But the one thing she wanted to leave, she wasn't able, but it was because of lack of access and education. So my end goal with all these things that I'm building, on top of helping creators become these amazing founders and entrepreneurs and business owners and really maturing the industry and being a resource there, is to next level allow them to also get resources to build for their family generational wealth.
yeah. That is so beautiful. I too have one of my goals is to start a foundation one day. So, as our careers and journeys as entrepreneurs continue to grow, I hope to see you as well at both of our foundation galas one year.
Yes. Oh, I already
We
see it,
will
girl.
we
What
will
are you
be
wearing, girl? I'm wearing a
attending.
blue dress. Okay. I love
I'm
that.
crying. That is going to be an amazing experience. I literally cannot wait to have that side by side picture one day on our Instagram accounts.
Girl. I love a manifest. Stop. No,
Live
I love
manifesting session.
I
Oh,
absolutely, I think that's the beauty of being a Black woman, is we always find a way to push through, and once we push through, find a way to give back. And I
yeah.
think that's also something that keeps so many of us going, so many of us pushing through the barriers and getting in these rooms, is that once we get in the rooms, now I can give the information. I can't give the information, I'm not in the room. So it's pushing through the adversities and going through the doubt and the pain and all of it. It's so much bigger than individually. It's so much bigger. It's bigger than the foundation I'm trying to build. It's so much bigger than this. Even just sharing the journey, and say the end goal looks different than how I present it. It's through the journey and the small comments and the "you inspire me to do this." That is also, I mean, it doesn't compare to anything I've ever experienced. To know that I can just share organically what I'm building, and someone's like, "You know what? I signed up for that Pilates class and I was so scared, but you showed me that I can have courage." And that
Yeah.
is, it's there's no words to really explain how that feels.
Love that. It's going to mean so much to so many, and even hits home for me. I even feel motivated. So, for all of our listeners and our watchers out there, please know that you are building something meaningful. It will impact you, yourself, your family, your friends, and so many people who you don't even have contact with, people who see you online, people who read your emails or see you in a magazine that they want to be in, entrepreneur like Cameron being in Business Insider. It means so much to people. And
Yeah.
so, Cameron, what is something you wish you could tell everyone listening to this episode?
Two things. One, sometimes the journey is the destination. And I know we mentioned the end goal and things like that, but truly being excited along the way is actually the end goal. That's the first thing. The second thing is my life motto. I feel like I say this all the time, but it has transformed my entire thought process. And it really came up during law school and like struggles of that, and me feeling like intimidated and I wasn't meant to be there and I wasn't smart enough. Was like, what's for you is for you. There's so many times we don't get an opportunity and we feel like it's a direct explanation of who we are and our character. But when we really look at it, it's like, if that was for me, I would have gotten it. So maybe I dodged a bullet. Maybe it's a blessing in disguise. Whatever the case may be, it really helps me reframe any opportunity that I do or don't get. Because if I don't get something, yes, it sucks. And I'm not one to say don't feel it because ouch. But I know that if it truly was for me, I would have gotten it. And then in the reverse is, there's times where I get an opportunity. I'm like, there's no way. Like, I can't do that. Who, me? A girl from Flint, Michigan, please. But then I'm reminded, what's for me is for me. So because I got it, I am supposed to be in that room at this time, at this date, for some reason that I have the abilities and the skill sets to be there. So what's for you is for you. What's for me is for me. Truly walk in that. And then it also helps when you're able to congratulate your peers and be so excited. I love seeing the girl. I love it. I get so excited because I know they had that moment. What's for them is for them. Just like I have my moments. What's for me is for me.
Mm, that is so true. It makes every opportunity matter, whether it works out or it doesn't, because either way, you can have a really positive outlook on what is coming your way, whether it works out or not. So that is the best conclusion for this episode for sure. And I want to thank you, Kameron, for sharing your origin story with us here today on Trenches. I cannot wait to see what you build beyond the trenches. And for our crew members out there, please follow Kameron's story on TikTok and YouTube because we have a content creator girly out here. At Kameron Monet is her handle, and we will have all of her links in the show notes as well. And if you are a creator, influencer marketer, talent manager, but especially if you're a creator, please head to socialdocketdialogue.com and follow Social Docket on Instagram to join their wait list, because we all know that joining Social Docket is going to revolutionize your creator business. I said it once and I will say it again. Thank you for joining us today on Trenches. I am so grateful you chose to spend time with me today.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone. Don't forget to follow us on Apple and Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts. Your likes, comments, and ratings make such a big difference in improving the show for each and every crew member. Also, if you're not already, come and join us on TikTok and Instagram at Trenches the Podcast, where we don't just share clips, we're creating a network of co-builders in the comments. Each post is designed to be a truly impactful addition to your scroll that will actually help you improve your journey in many different ways. Now, since you're already a part of the crew, this is how you step inside. By allocating to the fund on Patreon, you become a stakeholder in Trenches the Podcast and officially join our cap table. With access to private content, early drops, resources, and chats reserved for people truly in the work. Here is where you get the tools and the behind the scenes of what it really takes to get beyond the trenches. Your seat gives you direct access to contribute and make long-term decisions for our crew while finding community with fellow builders. It's time to take your seat at the table. Our mission is simple: make entrepreneurship less lonely. I'll see you in the next episode.